Your brain is broken, not metaphorically, not poetically, literally rewired. Every time you pick up your phone to check nothing, every time you swipe through videos you don't even enjoy, every time you open an app, close it, then open the same app 3 seconds later, your neural pathways are being carved deeper into a pattern of distraction that is stealing your ability to think. You are training your brain to need stimulation every single second. And the worst part, you don't even notice it anymore. You think it's normal. You think everyone struggles to read a full page of a book. You think it's just how modern life works, but it's not. There was a time when you could sit with your own thoughts for hours. There was a time when boredom didn't feel like a panic attack. Attention is currency. And right now, you're bankrupt. Today, we're going to talk about why your attention span collapsed, what's really happening inside your brain when you scroll, and how to reverse the damage so completely that sitting still actually feels like a superpower. The ability to concentrate for a considerable time is essential to difficult achievement. Let's begin. The scroll trap. Here's something nobody talks about. Your phone isn't designed to inform you. It's designed to never let you leave. Every app you use was built by teams of behavioral psychologists whose entire job is to keep your thumb moving. Infinite scroll wasn't an accident. It was engineered. In 2006, Ozzer Raskin invented infinite scroll as a productivity feature. Years later, he publicly apologized, saying he had created a mechanism that wastes 200 million human hours every single day. It's as if they're taking behavioral cocaine and just sprinkling it all over your interface. Think about what happens when you open TikTok or Instagram Reels. There's no stopping point, no page break, no moment where your brain gets to say, okay, I'm done. The content just keeps flowing, and your brain, it responds to every new video with a tiny hit of dopamine, not a big one, just enough to make you swipe again. And again, and again, and again. You're not weak for struggling with this. You're fighting against billions of dollars of psychological manipulation. The game was rigged against your attention from the very start. But understanding the trap is the first step to escaping it. And what's happening inside your brain is even more alarming than you think. Dopamine hijack. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your neurochemistry. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. That's a myth. Dopamine is the anticipation chemical. It's the molecule of wanting, not having. When you scroll, your brain isn't getting pleasure from each video. It's getting excited about what might come next. It's the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. Variable reward. You never know if the next swipe will be boring or incredible. And that uncertainty is what keeps you locked in. Wanting, not having. Dr. Anna Lemke, a Stanford psychiatrist who studies addiction, explains that our brains have a balance between pleasure and pain. Every time you get a dopamine hit from your phone, your brain compensates by tilting toward the pain side. Over time, you need more stimulation just to feel normal. Your baseline for feeling okay keeps getting higher and higher. This is why you can watch a beautiful sunset and feel nothing, why a conversation with a friend feels boring, why reading a book feels like running a marathon. Your brain has been recalibrated to expect constant high-level stimulation, and anything less than that feels like suffering. If this is starting to make you rethink your own habits, hit like and subscribe to keep exploring the depths of your psyche with me. Because what comes next is the part most people never hear about. Shrinking brain. This isn't just about willpower, this is about brain structure. In 2019, a study published in the journal Addictive Behaviors found that people who used their phones excessively had measurably less gray matter in key areas of the brain. Areas responsible for impulse control, areas responsible for emotional regulation, areas responsible for focused attention. Shrinking. Your brain is physically changing shape based on how you use it. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, works in both directions. When you practice deep focus, those neural pathways strengthen. When you practice distraction, those pathways strengthen instead. Every hour you spend mindlessly scrolling is an hour you're training your brain to be worse at everything else. Worse at listening, worse at learning, worse at having a single thought that lasts longer than 8 seconds. Microsoft published a study claiming the average human attention span dropped from 12 seconds in the year 2000 to 8 seconds. Less than a goldfish. Now that study has been debated, but the trend is undeniable. We are becoming less capable of sustained thought at exactly the moment in history when sustained thought is most valuable. But here's where it gets interesting, because the solution is not what you'd expect. Boredom is medicine. The unsexy truth that no productivity guru wants to sell you is this. The cure for your destroyed attention span is doing absolutely nothing. Not a new app, not a time-blocking technique, not a digital detox retreat in Bali. Just nothing, sitting with yourself, staring at a wall, letting your thoughts surface without reaching for your phone to silence them. Psychologist Sandy Mann at the University of Central Lancashire conducted a fascinating experiment. She gave one group of participants a boring task, copying numbers from a phone book, and another group went straight to a creative task. The bored group was significantly more creative afterward. Boredom is the dream bird that hatches the egg of experience. Boredom isn't the absence of something, it's the presence of possibility. When your brain has no external stimulation, it activates something called the default mode network. This is the part of your brain responsible for self-reflection, creative problem-solving, and planning for the future. Boredom equals freedom. Every time you fill silence with scrolling, you shut down the very part of your brain that generates your best ideas, your deepest insights, and your sense of who you actually are. But knowing this isn't enough. You need a strategy to actually reclaim your attention. Make IT boring. Step 1 is deceptively simple. Make your phone physically boring, not unusable. Boring, there's a difference. Remove the color and you remove the craving. Switch your phone to grayscale mode. Every phone has this option buried in accessibility settings. Those bright reds on notification badges, those vibrant thumbnails on YouTube, those colorful icons screaming for your attention, all gone, replaced by dull, lifeless gray. Tristan Harris, former design ethicist at Google and star of The Social Dilemma, has been recommending this for years. He calls it making the slot machine less attractive. Gray kills desire. And it works. Studies from the University of British Columbia found that people check their phones significantly less when the display is in grayscale. Next, move your social media apps off your home screen. Put them in a folder. On the third page, make it take at least 3 deliberate taps to reach them. You're not blocking yourself from using them. You're adding friction. Because every second of friction is a second where your conscious mind can ask the question, do I actually want to do this right now? Friction is the friend of intentional living. Small changes, massive impact, but your phone is only half the battle. The night ritual. Here's where most people fail. They try to fix their attention during the day while destroying it every night. The last thing you look at before sleep programs your brain for the next day. If the last thing your brain processes is a carousel of short videos, outrage headlines, and comparison traps, you are literally priming your neural circuitry to crave that same stimulation the moment you wake up. The solution: your phone does not belong in your bedroom. Buy a $5 alarm clock. Put your phone in another room, not on your nightstand, not face down on your dresser, in another room entirely. The first hour and last hour of your day shape everything in between. Dr. Matthew Walker, a sleep neuroscientist at UC Berkeley, has shown that screen exposure before bed reduces REM sleep quality by up to 30%. REM sleep is when your brain consolidates memories and processes emotions. Less REM sleep means worse focus, worse emotional regulation, and a stronger craving for quick dopamine the next morning. It's a cycle, a vicious, self-reinforcing cycle, and the only way to break it is to physically separate yourself from the source. But removing distractions is only the beginning. The real transformation happens in what you do with the empty space. The void practice. This is the part that scares people. When you remove the distractions, you're left with yourself, and for most people that's terrifying. You sit down, no phone, no music, no podcast, no television, just you and your thoughts, and within 30 seconds, every fiber of your being screams at you to reach for something, anything. Resist. That discomfort you feel, that restlessness, that anxiety, that almost physical need to be stimulated, that is the exact muscle you need to train. As the philosopher Blaise Pascal wrote, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. He said that in the 1600s, before electricity, before phones, before the internet. The human resistance to stillness is ancient, but today, technology has amplified it to a level our ancestors never could have imagined. You are allowed to feel bored, and you are allowed to do nothing. Start with 5 minutes a day, just sit. Don't meditate if that word intimidates you. Don't try to clear your mind, just exist. Let thoughts come, let them go, stare at the wall, watch the light change, notice your breathing. Stillness is power. This isn't wasted time. This is the most productive thing you can do for your brain, and the science behind it will surprise you. Rewiring proof. Here's the part that should give you hope. Your brain can heal. A 2023 study from the University of Texas found that participants who reduced their phone usage by just 1 hour per day for 2 weeks showed measurable improvements in sustained attention, working memory, and even self-reported life satisfaction. 2 weeks of 1 hour less, and their brains started coming back. 1 hour, 14 days. That's all it took for neuroplasticity to start working in their favor instead of against them. Think about what would happen if you committed to this for a month, for 3 months, for a year. Dr. Cal Newport, a computer science professor at Georgetown who wrote Deep Work, describes a phenomenon he calls attention residue. Every time you switch tasks or check your phone, a fragment of your attention stays stuck on the previous activity. After a morning of constant switching, your cognitive capacity is shattered. But after even a few days of practicing sustained focus, people report something remarkable. They feel like they've unlocked a part of their brain they forgot existed. Reading becomes enjoyable again. Conversations feel deeper. Work that used to take 4 hours takes 2. Focus is a superpower. And the best part, once you experience this clarity, scrolling starts to feel genuinely weird. But there's a deeper reason why this matters beyond just productivity. The real cost. Let's do the math on what distraction is actually stealing from you. The average person spends 4 hours and 37 minutes on their phone every single day. That's over 32 hours a week, over 70 days a year. 70 days. 70 full days of your one precious life spent swiping through content you won't remember tomorrow. In 10 years, that's nearly 2 full years. Gone, dissolved into an endless feed of videos, memes, and arguments with strangers. But the real cost isn't time, it's who you could have become. The cost of a thing is the amount of life which is required to be exchanged for it. Every hour spent scrolling is an hour you didn't spend learning an instrument, writing that book, building that business, deepening your relationships, or simply knowing yourself better. Distraction is not stealing your time, it is stealing your potential. The person you could become with an extra 70 days a year of focused, intentional living is a completely different human being. Potential stolen daily. And here's what's psychologically devastating. You know this. Deep down, you already know this. That vague sense of dissatisfaction you feel after an hour of scrolling, that's your psyche telling you something important. It's telling you that you were made for more than this. And the path back to yourself is simpler than you think. Becoming free. Freedom doesn't look like what you think. It doesn't look like hustle culture or perfect morning routines or expensive journals. Freedom looks like sitting in silence and feeling completely at peace. When you stop depending on quick dopamine hits throughout the day, something extraordinary happens. The world gets louder, colors get brighter, conversations get deeper. You start noticing things you haven't noticed in years, the way sunlight moves across a room, the sound of rain, the texture of a thought that finally has space to fully form. The liberation you seek is on the other side of the discomfort you keep avoiding. You don't need to go off the grid. You don't need to delete every app. You just need to make 3 commitments. 1, make your phone boring. Grayscale, apps buried, notifications off. 2, remove your phone from your bedroom. Let the first and last moments of your day belong to you. 3, practice doing nothing. 5 minutes a day of pure stillness. No input, no output, just existence. 1, make your phone boring. 2, remove it from your bedroom. 3, practice 5 minutes of stillness daily. That's it. That's the entire prescription. Within weeks, you'll notice something strange. You'll be standing in line somewhere, and instead of reaching for your phone, you'll just stand there, and it won't feel uncomfortable. It'll feel like the most natural thing in the world. And in that moment, you'll realize something that changes everything. You were never addicted to your phone. You were addicted to avoiding yourself. And now that you've stopped running, you're finally free. Your attention is not just a cognitive function. It is the lens through which you experience your entire life. When that lens is shattered into 1,000 fragments by endless scrolling, everything looks blurry. Relationships feel shallow. Work feels meaningless. Even joy feels muted. But when you train your attention, when you reclaim it piece by piece, day by day, the world comes back into focus. Where attention goes, energy flows. The discomfort of boredom is not your enemy. It is the doorway back to yourself. Every second you resist the urge to scroll is a second you're rebuilding neural pathways that society has been systematically destroying. Reclaim your mind. You don't need more information. You don't need another video about productivity. You need to close this video, put your phone down, and sit with yourself for 5 minutes. That's your homework. That's the entire transformation. If you made it this far, comment attention reclaimed if you're ready to take your focus back. Welcome to the Psyche Project. If this changed how you see your phone, subscribe. Understanding yourself is the work of a lifetime. See you in the next video.